In the
mills built by the
1970s,
Russians, partly in
Iran
exchange
was
for
one of the
delivery of
fastest growing economies in the Middle East. Oil money was pouring into the country. New highways were being built across the desert. Factories were opening. Universities were expanding. Many economists at the time believed Iran was on track to become the industrial powerhouse of the region. But today, the picture looks very different. Iran faces international sanctions, high inflation, and a currency that has lost much of its value. This raises an important question. How can a country that holds some of the largest oil reserves on Earth struggle economically? To understand the answer, we need to go back thousands of years to a time when Iran was not known for oil, but for something else entirely. Trade. Long before it was called Iran, this land was known as Persia. Persia occupied one of the most strategic locations in the ancient world. It sat between Asia, Europe, and the Middle East. Almost every major trade route connecting these regions passed through Persian territory. One of the most famous routes was the Silk Road. Goods traveled thousands of miles across this network: silk from China, spices from India, precious metals from Central Asia. And many of these goods passed through Persia on their way to Europe. This geographic advantage turned Persia into a major commercial hub. Trade, agriculture, and craftsmanship formed the backbone of the economy for centuries. Before the discovery of oil, Persia was largely an agricultural society. By the early 20th century, more than 80% of the population worked in farming. The country produced wheat, barley, rice, and cotton. But agriculture was only part of the story. Persia was also famous for its craftsmanship. One product in particular became world-renowned: Persian carpets. These carpets were known for their intricate designs and high quality. By the late 19th century, carpet exports accounted for a significant portion of Persia's foreign trade. For many families, weaving carpets was not just a craft, it was a livelihood passed down through generations. But at the beginning of the 20th century, something was discovered beneath the soil that would transform the entire economy: oil. In 1908, a major oil field was discovered in southwestern Iran. This was one of the first large oil discoveries in the Middle East. The discovery attracted immediate attention from foreign companies. The company that secured the rights to develop the oil was the Anglo-Persian Oil Company. This company would later become BP. At first, oil production grew slowly, but even in the early years, it was clear that oil would become a critical resource. There was just one problem. Although the oil was located in Iran, most of the profits were going elsewhere. Under the original agreement, Iran received only a small percentage of the revenue. This imbalance would eventually spark a political crisis. By the mid-20th century, many Iranians believed their country was not receiving a fair share of its own oil wealth. This growing frustration led to a political movement. In 1951, Iran's Prime Minister, Mohammad Mossadegh, took a dramatic step. He nationalized the oil industry. This meant the Iranian government would take control of oil production and profits. The move was extremely popular inside Iran, but it caused a major conflict with Western powers, especially the United Kingdom. Britain responded with an oil embargo, cutting Iran off from international markets. The economic pressure quickly mounted, and the political situation grew more unstable. In 1953, the crisis reached a turning point. a covert operation supported by the CIA and the MI6 helped remove Mossadegh from power. The coup restored authority to Iran's monarch, Mohammad Reza Shah Pahlavi. After the coup, a new oil agreement was established. This time, Iran received a larger share of the profits. Although foreign companies still operated the oil industry, Iran's revenue increased significantly. Over the next 2 decades, this oil income would fuel rapid economic development. During the 1960s and 1970s, Iran experienced an extraordinary economic boom. Oil production expanded rapidly. Global demand for energy was rising, and oil prices began climbing. The government used oil revenues to invest heavily in modernization. New roads connected major cities, airports were built, large industrial projects were launched. Factories began producing steel, automobiles, and consumer goods. Urban areas grew quickly as millions of people moved from rural villages to cities. For many Iranians, these decades represented a period of rapid transformation. The boom reached its peak in the 1970s. Global oil prices skyrocketed after the 1973 energy crisis. Iran's oil revenues surged. The government began ambitious development plans. Universities expanded dramatically. Major infrastructure projects were launched across the country. By the late 1970s, Iran had become one of the most industrialized economies in the Middle East. Its GDP had grown rapidly, and living standards were rising in many urban areas. But economic growth was not evenly distributed. Wealth disparities widened, political tensions were increasing, and beneath the surface, a major political upheaval was approaching. In 1979, Iran experienced a historic turning point. The Iranian Revolution overthrew the monarchy. The Shah left the country, and a new Islamic Republic was established. The revolution reshaped Iran's political system, but it also had a profound economic impact. Many foreign investors left the country. Industrial production slowed. Oil exports temporarily declined. Political uncertainty created economic disruption, but an even greater challenge was about to begin. In 1980, neighboring Iraq invaded Iran. The conflict quickly escalated into a full-scale war. The Iran-Iraq War lasted 8 years. It became one of the longest conventional wars of the 20th century. Oil facilities were damaged. Cities were bombed. Millions of people were displaced. The war drained enormous economic resources. By the time it ended in 1988, Iran's infrastructure had suffered massive damage. The economy was deeply strained. After the war ended, Iran began a long process of rebuilding. The government focused on restoring infrastructure and reviving oil production. Gradually, economic growth returned. Industries such as petrochemicals, manufacturing, and construction expanded. Education also became a major priority. Universities and research institutions grew rapidly. Iran developed one of the largest educated populations in the Middle East. Despite political tensions with the West, Iran continued to develop important domestic industries. However, economic progress would soon face another obstacle: international sanctions. Over the following decades, Iran faced increasing economic restrictions from the United States and its allies. These sanctions targeted several sectors, including finance, energy, and international trade. Access to global banking systems became limited. Foreign investment declined. Oil exports were restricted. All of these factors placed pressure on the Iranian economy. Despite these challenges, Iran attempted to adapt by expanding domestic production and regional trade. But sanctions continued to shape the country's economic environment. Then in 2015, a major diplomatic agreement created new hope. In 2015, Iran signed the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action. This agreement limited Iran's nuclear program in exchange for sanctions relief. As sanctions were lifted, Iran's economy began to recover. Oil exports increased. International companies started exploring investment opportunities. Economic growth accelerated. For a brief moment, many analysts believed Iran was entering a new phase of economic integration with the global economy. But the situation changed again only a few years later. In 2018, the United States withdrew from the nuclear agreement. Sanctions were reintroduced. Oil exports dropped sharply. The Iranian currency lost significant value. Inflation rose dramatically. Businesses struggled with uncertainty and financial restrictions. Despite these pressures, Iran's economy has shown resilience in several areas. Domestic industries continue to operate. Regional trade has expanded, and the country remains one of the largest economies in the Middle East. Today, Iran remains a country of enormous economic potential. It possesses some of the world's largest energy reserves. It has a large population and a significant industrial base. Its geographic location still connects major regions of the world. But Iran's economic future will depend on several key factors: international relations, domestic economic reforms, and the ability to adapt to global changes. History shows that Iran has experienced both remarkable growth and severe challenges, and its economic story is still far from finished.